Bale dances through the West Ham defense, and Lanzini, what a strike! What a strike! 8 minutes to go, 3 goals in 8 minutes. Great play from West Ham. Welcome to Talk Football. I'm your host with the most, Tinashe, and I am joined by my co-host this evening, as always, um, Shihab and Adam. Starting with you, Shabs. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. You?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Despite the weekend's results, yeah, not too bad. Um, how about you, Nabi?
Yeah, doing good. Better than last week or 2 weeks ago.
Finally, it looks like you could potentially have, turned the corner. As Ole said, our season starts now. The past 3 games didn't happen. Season starts to well, the weekend gone. Um, uh, so before we kick off, as always, gonna put all our socials in the descriptions. So please make sure to follow, like, and interact. We'll put out a feeler to see if there's any questions. Didn't get any responses back, but we'll continue to do so. Um, but yeah, if you do have any questions or any topics that you would like to hear me and the guys discuss, just drop them into one of the comments of our posts, or just tweet us, or message us on Instagram, or drop a comment in the YouTube videos. And yeah, we'll be able to discuss your topics on the pod. And so yeah, having done all that, going first, what we'll do, guys, review the predictions that we all had over the last week. This Premier League season just keeps on throwing up curveballs, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
anyway, starting with the um, I guess least important game, Spurs versus Tottenham. Spurs versus West Ham. Sorry. Um, Starting with me, I went Antonio, player to watch, and I went for 3-2 West Ham. Um, didn't quite happen, unfortunately. It was a 3-3 draw. Fantastic 3-3 draw. Um, Nabi, you went for a 3-2 to Tottenham. Luckily, well, you said Bale as your player to watch, and the most important contribution he had was that strike that literally bobbled into Fabianski's hands. Um,
Well, he had another great chance after that.
I only remember
Yeah, he had a
Lanzi.
great chance
I
after
only
that,
remember
yeah.
Lanzini playing well. Bale was he even on the pitch?
He just said he was.
No, I don't think he was. Didn't see him.
You just mentioned his. You can't say he wasn't on the pitch. Then mention his bobbles. Man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you can't have it both ways.
Just playing on his how awful it was. Really. Also, Shabs, you went for 3-2 Tottenham. But you had your player to watch, Son, who got a goal and an assist. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I got something right
yeah.
ish.
If you listen to that, I guess yeah, you definitely would have got picked up points on that for the goal and the assist. The
Yep.
Chelsea versus Southampton game, I went 2-1 Chelsea. That was another cracker. um, which saw a draw. I went Antonio was it? Not Antonio, sorry, Timo Werner as the player to watch. That one kind of stung me because I put Timo Werner as my player to watch, and then I removed him from my fantasy football team. So obviously Timo got 2 goals and an assist, sorry. So if you listen to me on this, yeah, you did good. I just didn't listen to myself, but at least if you listen to the pod, yeah. Nabi, you went for. Okay, we'll take your first pick because you put Chilwell slash Ings. So we'll go with Chilwell because I think Chilwell, you said him because you weren't sure if he was going to start, and you said if he doesn't start, then it would be Ings. But Chilwell did start, um, and I don't think he
I think he got an assist,
Did he get an
Yeah, he
assist?
possibly.
assisted.
The first
Assisted the
goal, I
first
think.
goal.
Oh, wow, I mean that was more all Timo Werner, but fair enough. So yeah, you would have gotten assist points, but then you would have got -1 for the 3 goals conceded. So Yeah, and yeah. Did I say you went 3-2 to Chelsea, and Shabs you went 2-0 to Chelsea with Pulisic being your player to watch, and
Yeah, I don't think he got any points.
I brought him into my team as well, and did nothing.
But we
The
can't say he did nothing. But in terms of fantasy football, he did
yeah,
nothing.
in the context of fantasy football, he did nothing. I guess
Yeah.
for me, the beauty that I'm still holding, I still have my wild card to go. I didn't use it this game week. I had 2 free transfers that I just used, thankfully. And then moving on to Man City versus Arsenal. Shabs, you went 2-1, and you put your player to watch as Sterling. He's the player who got the goal. So yeah, if you had Sterling, good on you. Shabs, Nabi, sorry, you went 3-1, and you put your player to watch as Mahrez. But yeah, again, in the context of fantasy football, didn't do anything. And then I went 2-1 to Arsenal, and my player to watch is Thomas Partey, and he only got 8 minutes. So
And the yellow card, so he got 0 points.
yeah. And
So yeah.
moving on to the final 2 games, we've got Newcastle versus Man United. I went 2-0 to Newcastle. Alan St. Maximum as my player to watch, and Nabi went for a 1-1 draw, and Callum Wilson as his player to watch, and Shabs also went for Alan St. Maximum with a 2-1 Newcastle win. But obviously United ran a bit riot that game.
Yeah, threw up a surprise.
Yep.
Shock of the season so far.
And
No, Aston Villa 7-2 is still shock of the season.
yeah, nah. The final game, Merseyside derby, Liverpool, Everton versus Liverpool. I went 3-2, and I put James Rodriguez as my player to watch, and he got an assist. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Richarlison was Nabi's player to watch. So if you got Richarlison in, unlucky. You're probably sitting at minus points at the moment.
-1, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so unlucky. One thing you did get right though was the scoreline. You went for a 2-2 draw, and it was a 2-2 draw. You're the first one to
And
get the score.
also, I mean, I know it doesn't work this way, but the Chelsea game and the Tottenham game, I nailed within 90 minutes.
What do you mean?
Because the equalisers for both came in after 90 minutes. So within 90 minutes, I got the score correct for those.
I mean,
Just
I
saying.
personally don't remember that caveat in, but fair enough. If you did say it, I don't remember it personally.
No, I
mean,
didn't, but I'm just saying, within 90 minutes, I got it right. I know it doesn't work that way, but just saying, almost had.
oh no.
Yeah, you almost had it, but
yeah,
you
you're
didn't.
fishing.
So you
You're
still
fishing.
didn't have
Yeah,
it.
you're not getting those. Yeah, you're not getting those, unfortunately. Shabs, you went 2-1 to Liverpool, and your player to watch was Mane. And obviously Mane
He
got,
got a goal,
yeah, he
yeah.
got a goal. So yeah, yeah,
Nearly had an assist.
what we're gonna need to sort of work out a point scoring system as well to sort of
Yeah.
see who ends up top of the leaderboard, and also see if we can come to an agreement on a forfeit. Or a prize.
Another
Maybe
forfeit.
this one may potentially not be a forfeit, but say a prize for the winner. I guess
Yep.
gives something.
We can work that out.
Yeah. But yeah, jumping into uh, this weekend's games, I guess we'll start with United. Adam, were you happy with the lineup? And if you could talk us through it.
I wasn't unhappy with it. It was a bit surprising, I guess. He went for the usual back to the usual back five: Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Sean De Gea. A bit of a surprise in midfield. He put Fred and McTominay, and he brought Mata in as well. So it was Fred, McTominay, James, and Mata either side of Bruno, with Rashford up front. And actually bringing Mata actually made a real difference. Like him and Bruno had some real good partnerships.
Do you think he could potentially look to
Goals as well. The goals. They're kind of going back to the way they were playing before.
do you think you could potentially look to start using that combination more? But obviously, it will be a bit risky leaving Pogba on the bench.
I think he might use that combination more for teams that need more breaking down.
Okay, fair. So I guess in the preview pod, you essentially talked about how you wanted to see a change in, I guess, structure, formation.
Yeah, I want to
Did
see the
you?
change for this game in anticipation of the bigger games coming up, but he obviously didn't go for that. So now I'm interested to see if he does change it for the bigger games, or if he's still going to stick to four at the back.
Okay, but in terms of for this particular, were you happy with what you saw, the structure, patterns of play, formation, or did you see, I guess, a progress compared to the first three games that you've played?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I know they had the bad start with the own goal. Kind of the opposite of the Tottenham game. But
Mm.
Tottenham game, good start, terrible after that. This game, bad start, very good after that. I know that all the three of the goals came quite late, but in terms of like the stats, they had like 28 shots, half of them on target. They had 7 corners compared to Newcastle 0. I think they had a lot of good play, which they didn't have before, starting to get together. I think Solskjaer said after the game that they're back to they've got up to kind of the speed of the game now. So obviously you see that going forward. But it was good signs in that game that they're starting to get back up to pace to what they want to be.
So your next, what's that? 6 points now you've got on the board, isn't it? Or 7?
6 from
4 games.
4.
Yeah. Oh, so 2 wins and 2 losses.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Fair. And I guess now, looking at the big games that you're saying that are coming up, how are you? Do you think this is giving you a lot more confidence, or are you still sort of really tentative going
Well, it's
into
given
them?
me more. Well, I think there's more confidence in that the attacking game is coming together. So at least they have that. Like before, it was defense bad, attack bad. Now it's attacking good, defense still a bit worried about. But at least they have that attacking outlet now coming together. Just gotta just kind of sort the defense out now. So it's one thing to worry about rather than two.
Fair, yeah. Well, to be fair, this is one game I didn't watch, and I was never gonna watch because it was on Sky Box Office, and I'm not gonna pay
Yeah. We ain't paying the
14.95
£15.
to watch Newcastle versus Manchester United.
What
So
would you pay for Arsenal?
due to laziness, I probably would. If I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie
you'd
to
give
you,
in.
pardon.
You'd give in. You'd give in
Well,
and
what's the
let everyone down.
alternative? I want
Match
to
of the
watch.
day is the
I
alternative, I
want to
guess.
watch Match of the Day. See, this is the thing I want to see with my own eyes because this is the thing. A lot of the things that are happening, I guess we'll get into discuss it into a lot more detail, but just sort of brush it on it a little bit. Is a lot of the things that pundits are saying right now. If I was to watch my Match of the Day, if I was to watch Match of the Day, sorry, I would literally be basing my view of the game based on what other people think because they show you a certain limits of the game, don't they? Whereas if you watch the whole game yourself, you can form your own opinion. You can notice things. The reason I'm saying that is everything that's also being said about Jordan Pickford by pundits at the moment. If you didn't watch the game yourself and you just reading and listening to what the pundits are saying, you'd be more likely to be inclined. But if you watch the game, you'd probably be a little bit more understanding of the circumstances of how it happened, etc., etc. But yeah, that's why I would want to watch the game myself so that I can form my own opinion of the 90 minutes.
What about the whole principle of charging fans extra money?
Well, the way I was thinking of, what's it called? The broadband, no, these subscription services, they haven't been charging customers for the sports packages since COVID because sports hasn't been happening, and now it hasn't been um put back. So now I guess they're essentially saying, "Oh, we're gonna start charging you again." From their aspect
No,
of it,
you charge them
pardon?
again. When Project Restart happened, that's when the bills came back.
They came. Oh,
Yeah.
well, to be fair, I wouldn't notice, would I? But
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
I
the
actually
bills came
wouldn't
back when
notice.
Project Restart happened.
Oh,
So they only
sorry.
paused it during the period where there was no football.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
And I shouldn't have the same problem as us working class people. Just let the listeners know that.
Yeah, he sat there going, "Yeah, no problems. They're not
Yeah, but
even
I'm not.
charging me."
I'm not seeing anything change. So, nah. But if that's the case, to be fair, then okay, I can understand the outcry, the outrage.
Yeah, you have to put your general fan hat on there.
Yeah, in that sense,
We're
then
already being charged whatever ridiculous amounts for sport, anyways, which
yeah,
we're all willing to pay, obviously, because
mhm,
it's whatever a month or over the spread of the year, and you have that agreement, and it's kind of expectation. To then, at this point, when everyone's suffering, like there's so many furloughs, so many job issues, this, that, economy struggling, small to medium companies are going bust, left, right, and centers. Another tier system that's come in, which means like certain cities are in lockdown, and even London's like joining that. To then whack £15 on per game, it's I think it's a bit over the top. Like I think people would have been willing to pay a certain amount, something
it's
like
one of those.
£5. fifteen
Yeah,
pounds just seems a bit
if you made it a
ridiculous.
fiver, it's one of those like people would look at it and be like, well, I paid that about for a pint anyway. I know none of us drink, but it's one of those like you'd be like, yeah, well, I pay for that for a pint in the pub anyway, so might as well just pay for it to watch my team play. So it's one of those that if you were sat on the couch with your hand in your remote and you saw it was a fiver, you'd just be like, why not? It's a fiver. But then when you sort of talk 15 quid, yeah, that's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
it's a bit much.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of money, especially for
but I
example,
think
like if you're gonna watch games like what's it, the Leicester Aston Villa game, because that was on pay per view yesterday, wasn't it?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was,
And then
yeah, you
apparently that
wouldn't.
was
Yeah,
absolutely awful. Like it was an absolute awful game to watch as well.
you know what I mean. You pay for something like that, and then it's just a awful game. You're just gonna hate it, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Shabs, I'm not sure if you've got any thoughts, questions
Yeah, I just
on
wanted to
Goodison.
ask a question. I don't know if you were Naby, but I was personally surprised to not see Tellez start, because I know that's a big problem area, and Tellez was brought in because they know it's a problem area. Shaw's basically just not good enough.
He scored the
But
own goal as well, didn't he?
yeah, he did. It was a bit unlucky. I saw the own goal, and it was a bit unlucky. He stuck his foot out, took a swipe at it, and it just went in the post. Um, but I was just wondering, do you think that's just because he's just come in and they're just
Yeah,
giving it a
I
bit of
think it's just
time, or do you think it's gonna lead to Shaw getting better and sticking as number one?
well, I think it was just the game just came too soon. But I think, well, if Shaw does get better as a result of Tellus coming in, it's also a good thing. I
Because
think
obviously
for that
PSG's
game it was
next,
too
isn't it?
soon.
Do you
Yeah.
expect to see Tellers in PSG game? Or you're not sure?
Uh,
It's a bit of a flip of a coin.
I'm gonna say probably not. I think probably still too soon and it's a big game as well.
Because I'm thinking if they're good enough, something like, for example, I know Tennessee don't like talking about this team, but Spurs, Regulon's come in and he looks really good, like really good. So like, if a player's
Not
of a
as good
certain
as
quality,
Tierney, but
sometimes
it's
you just
alright.
put them in. To be fair, he does
Yeah, it looks
from what
alright.
I've seen so far.
Looks
But
aight.
yeah. If you say so, that's fine. But yeah, so he's come in
You're a
obviously
Spurs
new,
fan
similar sort
undercover
of
anyway,
time.
so
Well, so I can't say another player looks good. You're just hurt. It's
no,
fine.
I'm not
But
hurt at
anyways,
all.
Regular's come in similar time to Tellers, hasn't he? I think I don't know how much sooner it was,
Nah, I think Regulon was
but
a lot
he's come
sooner.
in and
Yeah, Regulon was a lot
Because
sooner.
remember, Regulon was linked with United, and then Spurs signed him because
when
United
was his
weren't
first
willing.
game? Regular, he played
Uh,
last week, didn't he?
he
I'm pretty
played
sure he's
against
played in the
United.
Europa League as well.
Yeah, so I don't think they gave it long. I think the first game after he came, Davies was still in, and then from then on, it's been Regulon. So I don't think it'll be too based on like I don't think if Tellers is to the ability that they expect him to be, I don't think it'll be long before he's
Starting to,
starting. And
I think he'll
especially he's
probably
not a
play.
young player either. He's like 27, 28, isn't he? So it's not
Yeah,
like he's come in to be like a youthful 22-year-old who can come in slowly and a couple of years later. Like he either starts now or he's just there as backup. You know what I mean? Like he's at that age where he should really be starting and you wouldn't come otherwise.
do you
So
think
I
he
don't think it'll
plays
be long before he does
against?
start.
Do you think he plays against PSG, Nabi?
I'm not sure at Peach. I think Chelsea. By the time they get to Chelsea, it should be if they want him in, he'll be in.
Because for me, the way I'm looking at it, in the instance of Partey came later than Telles, but I would be expecting. But then again, it is PSG and we're playing Rapid Vienna. But I would say I
It
would
was the
expect.
same day, wasn't it? Did they not sign on the same day?
No, Partey signed on deadline day. Remember?
So did Tellers.
Did
Yeah,
I
Tellez
thought?
signed on
Oh,
deadline day.
I don't know
Yeah.
why for some reason I thought Telles was before.
Because it
I
was
think it's
linked.
just because a lot was agreed.
Yeah.
I think maybe the day before or something there was talks of it being agreed, but it didn't happen till deadline day.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. But yeah, I suppose I'll probably not say because it now then comes down to opponents as well because obviously Arsenal we're going to be playing Rapid Vienna, but you guys will be playing
Yeah, it's not like it's Mbappe on that side, you know what I mean?
yeah. But then again, that's the thing. Like you're saying with Luke Shaw, you wouldn't want Mbappe, Neymar running
Di
at Luke
Maria or
Shaw.
whoever it
Yeah,
is, isn't it?
running at Luke Shaw because it's one of those that if you saw that, your heart would just go in your mouth.
But if Tellez is good enough, you'd start him, don't you?
Yeah,
Like
that's
if
the
he's
point
at
that I'm
that
trying to
ability,
make.
you start
Yeah.
him. Yeah, we'll see. I thought United actually played well. I saw some of the game. I thought that Bruno Fernandes goal was a really good counter attack, like really flowing football.
Yeah.
For like that was the best play they had, and obviously it did open up for them at the end. So it's a little bit of a caveat, but I thought they played well, especially after going goal down, and heads could easily go down after the turmoil that's been around and the noise that's been around the club.
Do you think
For them to like pick it back up and get 4 goals was pretty decent.
do you think Maguire's on the road to redemption?
Well, I'd say probably on the road, yeah, because obviously he got the goal, so it wasn't a disaster in this game. Got himself goals, got us back into the game, didn't make any defensive blunders. So I'd say he's on the road, yeah.
In terms of, I guess, looking more, sorry, at your problem area, because like we've said, Shabs and I before on the pod, like your attack speaks for itself. You know, it's not an issue. The attack, personally, I never thought was an issue. It's been midfield and defense, and I've kind of sort of beat the drum about it quite a bit. And how, based on our performance or on the game, how do you feel that the performance went on those two parts of midfield and of the pitch? Sorry, and I do get what you're saying that it wasn't a defensive masterclass, but you know, did they defend better and were Newcastle still opening United up as the other
Well,
three
I
teams
can't
to
make a
play?
proper judgment on that because we're not paying the 15 quid, so I didn't see the whole game.
Oh right, okay.
But obviously we still got Big Twinsy, but he come back. He's on the way back.
Wait, is that
Is he still the Messiah? Is that who
He
he is
is,
still?
yeah.
Fair
Hmm,
enough.
fair.
Do you think that midfield cup starts against PSG? Because it was
No,
obviously a
Nah.
weird decision. And
I
how
think
Mata played so well. Do you think he's a starter now?
Mata could. I think we were saying with Pogba. Pogba had a couple of injuries when he was with France, so he just thought he'd give him a rest. And I think also with Matic, with the 3 games Newcastle, PSG, and then Chelsea, I don't think Mata could have done the 3 games. So he's probably selecting the games he picks Matic for. I think that's
Okay.
why
It'll be
those two
interesting
didn't
to
play.
see what happens in the PSG, the lineup.
Yeah.
You'd expect Pogba to come back in with the
Well,
name that he
Martial, I
is,
think, will
but
come. Martial will come back in because he's not playing in the league. They might as well play him now in the
Yeah,
Championship, so he'll
I saw
come
the
back in.
pictures. He's gone with the team, so yeah, you would expect him to.
and you got Cavani's first game, possibly.
Yeah, I saw he's back training with the squad now as well, isn't
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
had
he
some
is.
training session. I think he'll do. I think he'll be a sub. He'll come on as a sub. I think.
he? Imagine you're 1-0 down or 2-0 down. Cavani comes on, scores double to get United back in the game against his former employers. That would be quite some story. Now, I'd imagine the United fans would then just take to him, completely fall
Well,
in love to him.
I think he would be quite motivated because I think he has got some grudges
Yeah, he does.
against.
Yeah, I think he does.
Especially that whole Neymar situation. That was quite an interesting saga to watch when he was there. But anyway, do you have any final thoughts on United, Nabi?
Well, then also De Gea. I mean, he made some good saves. There was one save where it was kind of behind him, which has been classed as an amazing save. But
Is that the Callum Wilson one?
yeah, I thought it just seemed like
I thought that was really good because he was able to push it away at the same time as well. So it wasn't like he just stopped the goal. He was able to get a
it,
strong enough hand to push it
it
away.
seemed like the header wasn't like a power header. It seemed to be going in quite slowly anyway. So I kind
It's
of gave
because
him the time
but
to do
Callum
that.
Wilson was only a couple of yards out, so the reflexes and then to have the strength to push it away from Callum Wilson to not be able to get the rebound from it. I thought it was pretty decent. But...
Yeah, but Henderson would have caught it.
I
Do
feel
we
like
know
you're
that
being
for do
harsh,
we know that
but
for a fact, or is this you just your anti De Gea
Nah,
speaking?
Henderson, you would either caught it or pushed it out so far it would have started another counter attack.
Wow.
I think De Gea pushed it out, so it just went straight to a United player. There was no one else there.
I think it probably went to like Shaw, but Henderson would have flicked it all the way to like Rashford.
Rashford,
Oh, wow.
obviously, yeah, of course. Yeah, T, if you saw it, you wouldn't even believe what Naby's saying.
Doing the scorpion save all the way straight to
Of course.
Rashford's feet.
Definitely.
Fair enough. I guess one goalkeeping blunder to another. Moving to the Arsenal Manchester City game.
Is that another big blunder then? You'd
Similar
say?
to the Mane goal, in my view. Where the shot is taken and he just parries it straight to the center of the 6 yard box, like literally. And Sterling was
Yeah,
stood
he
there.
just parried it to a dangerous
Yeah,
position. Didn't he?
and Sterling was stood there, just tapped it in. So yeah, I hope it's not becoming a recurring theme with Leno. Because yeah, this could be an issue. Like I do get the fact that one was a really close shot. It wasn't really good initial save, but then it's one though he saved it, but it literally then just pushed it straight into the middle of the
Yeah.
6 yard box, which most strikers would be standing there waiting for rebounds, deflections, etc. So yeah, I really
But
do
what
hope.
did you make of the game? So I thought in overall there was certain players who were really good for Arsenal, but I thought overall Arsenal were a bit stale.
Yeah,
It seemed.
for me, it's starting with the lineup. When the lineup came out, I was like, oh sweet, it looks like 4-3-3. We're gonna have four at the back, Aubameyang down the middle, Willian on the left, and um, Pepe on the right. And then you have the midfield three with Saka potentially playing as a slightly forward with Dani Ceballos and Xhaka sitting a little bit, but that was not what was in store as well. You had Willian playing as a false nine, which just did not work. My issue with this, I generally feel like Arteta tried too hard to even Pep, to be honest. Even if you saw the way some of his lineup, some of his the players that the positions that they were taking up, I feel like because the two managers know each other so well, they tried to sort of outwit each other.
Do
And
you think
I don't
Arteta
think
is similar to Pep, where it's like they overdo it, they just go a bit crazy with their lineups, and it's just
I think with
weird.
when they're facing each other, especially with that, I think they will probably do that a little bit. Try and throw each other off a little bit because yeah, they know each other so well. They know each other quite intimately in terms of how they think football wise. So I do feel that in that aspect of it, they try to sort of have one over each other in terms of the way that they were the positions that they were asking some of their players to take, because you had Cancelo, who was sort of who was the right back or right wing back, but he was essentially ending up as in the midfield, like inside Riyad Mahrez, who was the right winger. So yeah, some of the and I don't think either of them did it. Obviously, Pep did it successfully because he got the 3 points. But in terms of the play, I don't think it was classic City playing really well. And I do agree with you, Shabs. For me, the first 70 minutes, generally, I would say I didn't have a problem with it. I was okay with the approach that Arteta took. Obviously, apart from the false nine, I didn't understand that at all. To be fair, because it's like we've played Lacazette. That why not just play Lacazette? Because against Liverpool and City, it was Lacazette that played the position. So why now change it to Willian? Which I did because when you're playing that, you're supposed to drop deep into the midfield, whereas Willian was still staying up top as our essentially our furthest forward player. So yeah, I'm not actually sure. I'm sure Arteta had a reason in his press conference. I think he was sort of hinting at the fact that he knows the kind of spaces that City leave. So I'm guessing he probably was looking to exploit. those spaces that he thinks Pep and City leave. But yeah, it really didn't work for me at all. Um, so, but what I would say though, I guess agreeing with what you said, Shab, the first 70 minutes it was a bit stale, but I was okay with it. It was the last 20 minutes that's when I was like, okay, cool. We've stayed in the game. We're 1-0 down. 20 minutes left. If we lose, we lose. I would rather at least he just thought, you know what, let's bring Partey on, change the formation, put Oba down the middle, and let's go for it. But none of that. We literally, it was such a strict structure that it was really frustrating the last 20 minutes for me, especially. I think this is one of the first times where I've been really frustrated at Arteta in his
Do
reign.
you think he was just happy to go away with a 1-0 and go, look, we've just only lost 1-0 to City compared to all these previous years,
I
and
think
take it as a big positive?
part of it was that he didn't want to start opening up and chasing City because he knew that if we did that, they would literally, I guess, we would be playing into their hands, wouldn't we? And they would be able to just pick us apart, three, four,
At
five.
some point,
No,
you have to chase and accept
this is
like
the
a,
this
a
is the
3
thing.
4-0 loss if that means you're opening up and going crazy.
Yeah, because even if we opened up and we ended up losing 2-3-0, the context of the game is still different. By halftime, it was still just only one. It wasn't like before with similar to Liverpool. By the time it gets to halftime, you're kind of like hanging on, saying, please, please, please. You know, you're already 2-3 goals down. Whereas this point, it's like, okay, we're still just 1-0 down. 70 minutes, like I said, 70, 75 minutes. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more adventure from Arteta, but he seemed quite um happy to stick with that structure, which for me is starting to become a little bit of a concern. Like that's one sort of thing that I've just got an asterisk on now, because in the sixth
Oh,
game,
we're going Arteta out here. Arteta
no,
out.
no, not even. I'm just saying in terms of like if you look at, I'm hoping the with Partey coming in, it will fix this. But with Arteta, it seems like when we're attacking, everything has to be so precise. You know, there's no
Yeah.
room for a little bit of creativity. That's why I kind of have the off the point of view that that's probably why he doesn't like to play Pepe too often, because with Willian, you may not get, you know, the individual brilliance here, the fantastic goals very often, but one thing you will get every single game is hard work, and he will stay disciplined to the structure. That's
Yeah, it
what
seems like it. Yeah.
that's what he gives, and that's what it seems Arteta really wants, you know, to stay within that structure. But it's like going forward, you do need a little bit of unpredictability, because if you're very predictable, because now City did the same thing that Liverpool did, put Walker at the right centre back to pretty much cut out Oba. Any balls over the top, Oba
It
to
worked
Oba.
so well.
Kyle
Using
Walker was
Walker
there.
to cut him out
Yeah,
was very good
yeah, because
tactic.
he was every ball over the top. Kyle Walker was there with Aubameyang. So, and Arteta, this is where I guess I'm. It's like everyone could see it. I'm sure he could see it, but he didn't change it. So it gets to the point that, okay, how do you expect Aubameyang to take um, the game? Because the thing that's I'm fearing now, it's not just going to be the big teams that are going to be doing it. It's also going to be the so-called smaller teams as well that will start realizing, well, if you just overload Arsenal's left-hand side and push Aubameyang back and put someone who's really quick on that side as well, that's it. That pretty much nullifies Aubameyang. Um,
So,
Which in
do,
turn nullifies a lot of Arsenal, doesn't
yeah.
it?
so do you think your system is hindering Aubameyang, or is he just not on form?
Uh, I think it's a little bit of both, but I would probably say more system than form, because we were playing the system before, and he was still banging them in. But I would say it's a little bit of both, but more form than system. Um,
Are you
but
worried about, because obviously it's near enough anyone who plays in that front three, all of them are struggling at the moment. There's
yeah,
not a single one who's actually really kicking on.
well, to be fair, this is the thing. Lacazette was playing well, 3 goals in 3 games, and then the last 2 games he's been dropped. The first 3 games that he played, scored 3 goals, and then yeah, the last 2 games. he's been dropped. So in terms of playing well, we do have a player who is informing Lacazette, like I'm saying, but the Sheffield game, Nketiah started, and Lacazette didn't even come on. And City game, Willian started, and Lacazette, when he came on, he was essentially playing as a number 10 by the looks of it. He was very, very deep.
Would it be worth getting Saka further forward? Because I thought he was your best player.
By miles. For me, he was Arsenal's man of the match. Because
Yeah, so
everything
like having
good
him on the left wing and then moving Aubameyang somewhere
cent-
else, maybe.
central.
Yeah.
But it seems quite that Arteta's a bit reluctant to move Aubameyang central, and I'm not sure where. I mean, I touched on this last pod preview. Like Aubameyang, for his Arsenal record, he's scored more goals from the left than um, in the middle. However, if you have him down the middle, you then will be able to get a little bit more creativity, like you're saying, having Saka push up to the left wing position instead of having playing as a left wing back, push him up to left wing. You have his ability to take on a man, deliver a ball to Aubameyang, which should start to get Aubameyang firing again. But this one for me, it generally did feel like a opportunity missed because, like I said, City, even in play, not even just in terms of their team, they weren't at their best, you know,
There
and
was a lot of passing without really
intent.
getting through. Yeah, there
Yeah,
wasn't like a lot of passes around Arsenal,
yeah,
but not actually getting through as often as a City would have like 2 years back.
yeah. So in that aspect, I am a little bit frustrated. But it's one, I guess, I can't be too harsh because Arteta is still only had what, January, February, March, and then when was restart? August, September. So what, 5 6 months managing a team. So he for him, he's still going to learn. He's still going to make a lot of mistakes. I guess this is part of the process where you'll have our highs and you also have your lows where you say, this time for me, he did get it wrong, but that's not to say I don't think he's the right man to take us forward. Um, just
Well, going back on the goalkeeper situation, do you think competition is going to be a factor, given that you've sold Martinez now? We don't know what your backup is
and
like.
Martinez has got the most clean sheets in the Premier League so far.
Yeah, because just going back to like De Gea, since Henderson's come in, he's not made a big blunder yet.
He's improving. Hmm. The thing is, I would like to say yeah, but we bought in Alex Runnerson, and I don't see him.
He's not
co-
challenging, is he?
Yeah, I
He's
don't
not
see him
challenging.
causing Leno a problem. Essentially, like I don't see Leno looking at him and thinking, "Oh, he could potentially take my spot." Because the drop off between Martinez and Runnerson, I think it's huge. Even though I haven't seen him play, but just from what I've read in terms of stats and what I've heard, it is huge. So Leno will be aware of this as well. So whether he thinks it's enough, personally, like I said, I guess you asked me the question. Personally, I don't think our current goalkeeping situation is enough for Leno for it to be enough of a challenge. That's probably why he was so good the past couple of years because he had Martinez and he could see how good Martinez was.
But isn't that a little bit of an excuse when teams like Liverpool and City don't have a good second keeper, but yet their actual main keepers are
No, me
still
personally,
performing
I wouldn't
in
say
week out?
I wouldn't say it's an excuse because Nabi asked the question. It's not like in the context of the game, I wasn't saying, oh, we
No,
need
as in
we
like, should he have to need that challenge? Like for example, Allison, Adrian's never challenging Allison ever,
mhm.
but then Allison's always putting the performances.
Yeah,
Same as Edison. City's backup keepers are never going to challenge Edison, but Edison doesn't make the same way of errors that Leno has done recently. So is it a show of the mentality of Leno that he needs
Well, I would say
someone?
that maybe like below those two, the keepers are probably
there's a huge drop off.
required more. They're required more than they are for Liverpool and
No, yeah,
well,
that's
maybe
true.
not City
So
because City now are obviously different.
mhm. That's probably why you. Because if you remember at Old Trafford last season, Edison, I'm pretty sure he made two massive mistakes that led to United scoring. One, what I
Oh
remember
yeah,
was a
he's
Tom.
had his moments, but
I'm
he's
just
still like.
I do sort of pretty much was going to mention what Nabi was saying in the sense that Edison and Allison, they're not facing as many shots. They're not required as much as Leno and De Gea slash Henderson. So these keepers will are more likely to make the mistakes because they are required more. Whereas that's like it goes back to the question that I was asking you. That it will be interesting to see how good Becker would be if he was in the behind the Arsenal defense facing 20, 30 shots in a single
But you could
game.
also say the same in terms of they have to keep their concentration levels of they could go 85 minutes in a game without having to do anything and all of a sudden have to make a world class save.
Yeah,
So you could talk about it the other way and say, look, they have to keep the concentration
that is
levels up.
fair, but I guess Allison and Henderson, not Allison, Leno, Henderson, and De Gea are not at that stage yet. You know, they're not at the stage where teams are sitting off them for 85 minutes until the last 10 minutes to start putting a little bit of pressure on. Um, yeah, for me, I understand what Nabi's saying. Like, it is difficult to say, oh, it's a bit of an excuse because they are getting used a lot more. You know, in terms of they are getting used. But I do also understand and appreciate what you're saying. You know that these guys are pretty much inactive for 80, 85 minutes, and then you still have to have the same level of concentration as the first minute, to be able to pull off these saves and keep your team in the game when the team's tough.
Sometimes if you're constantly in the game, it might be easier. It's like you see the stats a lot of the time. The stats for like the teams in lower down the league where they constantly getting peppered with chances. Those stats are great, and you pick up those keepers and go to one of the higher teams where there's less shots, and suddenly the keeper's just struggling and
Hmm.
having problems. So I don't think it's as simple in terms of saying, "Oh, well, how would Allison be if he was in a team where he's constantly peppered?"
I think
Same as
it's also more if you are having issues or problems or mistakes, then not having competition, will that make you less, or will having the competition make it more? You'll cut it out rather than not having
that's what I'm
competition.
saying. It's a mentality of the goalkeeper, then, really, isn't it? To a
To an
point, it's the
extent,
mentality of
yeah.
the keeper.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of different factors that I think that sort of feed into. I don't think, like you said, it's one out and out thing that it's this.
Look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm
Mhm.
just saying there's clearly certain keepers who need that competition to pick up their level, just like there's certain players out there who need that. And then there's others who would give the performance no matter what,
Yeah.
whether a player
But then
on the field or a player in goal.
again,
There's certain
it
differences.
does come back to I think, even I guess looking at Becker, when he was at Roma, he was second to Chesney. He was behind Chesney until Liverpool picked him up. So yeah,
No,
the,
he was first team when Chesney left. It was like the year before, so he was Roma's first keeper
yeah,
for a
but
year, and then Liverpool picked him up.
what's it called? Chesney left to go to Juve though, didn't he? So
Yeah, yeah,
I
as
do
in
get, but I'm
like
just
yeah,
meaning that if Chesney had stayed, Alisson Becker still would have been behind Chesney, going on prior years. So yeah,
yeah, we might never have got him.
there are, yeah, there are a lot of different things that kind of play into this. But yeah, I guess without sort of getting a bit too sidetracked, what did you guys think of the Kyle Walker challenge on Gabriel?
I think anywhere else on the pitch is given as a foul, so I'm surprised it wasn't given. To be honest, like it's obviously not. He wasn't really endangering him, but it was a
What?
foul. It's a high foot. I don't think he was ever gonna cause him any harm, but with the law, a high foot is a penalty, is a foul, so it's a penalty. Why are you getting you worked up about this? I'm just
No,
saying he
no.
I
wasn't
think
gonna he
that's what
wasn't
stopped
gonna
it.
turn him unconscious or anything. But
I think
what I'm
that's
saying
what
is a high foot is a penalty.
I think that's what stopped it, because he got the ball and he didn't make contact with, is it Gabriel's head? I know, but obviously because his foot was high, Gabriel's had to kind of
Pull out a
pull
bit,
away a
yeah.
bit. But I think because that contact wasn't made,
Then it's an indirect
then
foul rather
we
than a
didn't want to.
penalty.
Nobody gives indirect
No,
fouls,
I
do they?
know, but I'm just saying it would still be an offense what he did. Like something should have been given, either a penalty or an indirect. Because this is the thing. Because I can remember the lady in the studio for Sky Sports confirmed that it wasn't checked by VAR. Like they didn't. Because literally the incident happened. Ball gets kicked away. 2 seconds later, the ref blows for halftime. So and that's the infuriating thing, and for me I guess that wasn't even reviewed by VAR to be like, okay, cool, you know what, before you blow, let's just double check something. Got possibility of dangerous play, because it was getting your foot up that high is dangerous play. But I don't, this is, Shiab calls it a conspiracy, but I think now this week, having seen and what his team has gone through due to
No, wait, I
VAR,
don't call it a conspiracy.
No, for me, I
You
don't
call it a
no, I don't call
conspiracy.
it a conspiracy, but I just say it happens too often to Arsenal, like way too often, where decisions are not checked. And because remember, there was a table that was
Yeah, so
released.
you're the one calling it a conspiracy, not me.
Fair. I'll take that. There was a no. See, this is where I guess actually I'm not calling it I'm not saying it's anything. I'm just saying that it happened.
But you did just say I called it a conspiracy, which I never
Okay,
have
I
done.
apologize for that. You
Thank
didn't
you.
call it a conspiracy, but
Slander.
that's where you end up asking me also, do you think it's a conspiracy? So I guess that's where I'm getting that from. But I don't know if you guys remember that table that came out last year. When VAR was released, I'll try and find it, which showed, I think Arsenal was the team who suffered. If all decisions were made correct, Arsenal was the team who lost most points. So they would have gained the most points if all the decisions were made correctly. Um, Again, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything, but I'm just saying, why does it always? Okay, in that case, why Arsenal?
It's bad luck, isn't it? That's what it
No, no.
is.
Once, twice, here and there, that's bad luck. But for you to be,
So
because
what are you trying to say
over a
it could
whole
be?
over
What
a
are you
whole
trying to
season,
say it could be?
right? That's consistently giving wrong decisions against one team.
So do you think certain refs are just against Arsenal?
I don't know, because
Why
No,
I
but
would they
what are
be?
you? What are your thoughts on it? You can't just put a
no,
disclaimer out of
I'm
that and not
telling
give
you
your
what my
thoughts on
thoughts
it.
are. I'm telling you, but I I don't think it's to say conspiracy. It's too strong a word to say that, oh, it's definitely a conspiracy against Arsenal. That's too strong. But I will definitely say that there is an element, whether it's that view that refs still hold. You know, before when people used to say, oh, Arsenal, they're not a very tough team, all you need to do is just kick them off the pitch and then that's it. You know, because you get matches and incidences where Arsenal players are pretty much. I showed you the example of the Trent Alexander-Arnold on Saka. We won't get into the detail of that, but when situations like that happen and refs just kind of overlook it, you know, boys that, oh, it's an Arsenal player, they're soft. That's whether it's the refs having that kind of mentality, sorry, towards Arsenal. I don't know, but whatever it is,
We can never prove anything either way, can we?
sorry.
I'm saying we can never prove
No, but
anything either way at all.
that table was very telling though. That table was very telling. That's the point that I made. Like, we may say we can never prove anything. However, there is a table that shows across. It was last season across all the Premier League teams. Arsenal were the ones that were harshly treated, and they would have been in the top four if all the decisions were made correctly.
But then, doesn't someone have to be on top of that table?
No, yeah,
I would say
I,
I would start calling it a bit of a worry if Arsenal's on top of that table every single year.
fair.
Then you could probably
I guess
start going,
it would be
this is a
interesting
bit odd.
to see it for this season just gone. To see who would be at the top of that table. Um, but yeah, because the table, it wasn't for this season gone, it was for the season
It's
before.
one of those frustrations, is it? When it's your team, you're going to be very, very frustrated about it when you
Yeah,
see your team's decisions go that way. But
and also being
when
at
you
the top
start
of that
going into
table.
the whole, starting to wonder if it's just bad luck or if there is some sort of thoughts of the
No,
refs going to Arsenal games thinking, oh, with that mindset possibly of they've been soft in the previous years, and it goes into their thoughts when they're making decisions about when there's like a challenge going in and stuff, and they're not sure, they just go the way against Arsenal players. Like, possibly, but can we know? We always think that they have that against players. So like certain players that build a reputation, they obviously keep that in mind. They have to, don't they? So I don't know if they then take that in the whole purpose of Arsenal. But it's just one of those things. We will never work it out. It's an interesting point, but we can never work it out. And I guess if it's happening year on year, then you could start going to wonder, like, do refs need to work, like, keep an eye on what they're actually doing with it when it's Arsenal games, or you know what I mean?
This
It's
is
one
the
of
thing.
those.
I'm not saying that we need to get to a position where we're doing that either, because that then gives room for other fans to say, well, you're essentially now telling the refs to favor Arsenal. Where that's not what I'm trying to say at all. But whether it means scrapping all the refs and getting new ones in or whatever, but there needs to be some level of control, consistency, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Rather than consistently
Humans,
getting wrong. No, but when did VAR come in? This table that I'm
but
talking
VAR's
about.
still run by humans.
No, yeah, I guess that is a good point. That is a good point.
Scrapping them
So
all,
no
getting
matter,
new ones is a bit extreme, isn't it?
Well, they're all rubbish anyway, aren't they?
but that's a whole different point altogether.
Yeah, that
Anyways,
that, that literally is an argument that we could um probably have another whole pod for. But yeah, for me, Kyle Walker, that should have been a penalty, stroke on right on the stroke at halftime as well. I do think it would have made the game a bit more interesting than what it was, because like Shabs was saying, both teams overall, we were kind of just passing for the sake of passing without any real intent to sort of try and
yeah, I thought it was a pretty poor game in general, to
yeah.
be honest.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the first half. So.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I wasn't far off either, to be honest.
Yeah, and I was also really irritated the fact that Arteta waited until the 82nd minute to put Partey on. I'm like, what's the point? Like honestly, what is the point? You know, uh,
Yeah, what can we do?
yeah, yeah.
It's what it is.
But I'm not sure if you guys have any questions or any final thoughts on that game.
No,
Oh,
not
you're
really.
gonna talk about VAR, might as well move on to the next game.
Indeed, that's a perfect segue. Um, into the Tottenham West Ham. No, I'm joking. Into the Liverpool.
Well, we can
Liverpool.
talk about that one. I'm
Nah.
sure you probably don't want to, though.
To be fair, this one I'm more than happy to talk about. To be fair, because the thing is, I was actually watching the game, and then when it got to like 3-0, I was like, you know what, screw this, and I just left. And then I came back, watched a bit of a second half, the last couple of minutes, and then when the first one went in, the second one went in, and then I left. I was like, that's the game done. And then that's when I saw on my phone on the group chat, so you guys going crazy. That's when I ended up jumping. I was like, "Yeah, Shab, where are you now?" And then I just went mental at you. I was like,
Celebrating Lanzini's goal.
"Sorry."
Oh, celebrating
Yeah,
Lanzini's goal.
I was there calling, "Oh, you Tottenham fan, blah blah blah, undercover and all this."
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
undercover, but celebrating Lanzini's goal
yeah.
at the same time. But yeah,
That was
Liverpool's
some
game. It
that
was
that I suppose before we actually sort of get into the meat and bones of the game, what were your thoughts on the formation?
thought it was as expected. I was surprised to see Matip back just because he hasn't played for a while, and obviously he's
But
been
to be
back
fair, you did
training.
want
But
him though, didn't you?
I did want him. Like, he does need to be back.
Hmm.
But I just thought with his injury risk and how he's only trained for, I think it was just over a week. I don't know if he would have been risked yet, but he did start. Um, the midfield, I think, is our best midfield that we could do. Actually, would it be? That's our best team. I think that's our best team, best 11. Obviously, the midfield can always be jigged
Depending on
about and
opponent.
moved and stuff. Yeah, but I think Thiago and Fabinho always start. And then Henderson, I personally like to have him there as much of a leader as his ability on the ball and off the ball and work rate and all that kind of stuff. But I do like to have Henderson. But you could probably swap him for like a Naby Keita, or certain games you could have a Oxlade-Chamberlain who can run through people and stuff when it's more open games against the bigger sides, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say in general that was our best 11 that we could have put out there.
And
Great to
also,
see Mane back as well.
yeah, I was just about to mention, like, you guys had a really really good start as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought we actually, overall game, I would say that's probably one of the better games we've had against Everton in recent years. I don't know if you've seen them in the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, but they've been really bad games. Like even when we're coming into
At
it
Goodison Park, it's
on
usually a
form and
draw,
really
isn't
high,
it?
it's looking 0-0 draw a lot of the time. Really
Yeah.
cagey, nothing much going on. Liverpool, however good form that they're coming into the game, they really, really struggled to create chances and stuff. So I thought we actually played really well this game. And to be fair, I actually thought overall both sides played really well the game. Like it wasn't completely open, but both had their chances, both had their big moments. Hammers played well on our side. Salah, Mane played well. The Thiago, unreal. What a gem. What a player. That third disallowed goal for Liverpool, that pass from Thiago. No one else in our midfield makes that pass
No.
except him,
I
and
think
that's
I mentioned this
exactly the
after
point as
I
to why we
mentioned this
bring him in.
after the Chelsea game as well. One thing I do, it seems like 8 out of 10 of his passes, or maybe 7 out of 10 of his passes, are all no look passes.
Oh, it was
It's
honestly, it
like
was so good.
he'll be facing one way, but he already knows that, okay, on this side I know that Man is coming back from offside, or Henson, sorry, no, it was Man is coming back from one
It
side.
was money, yeah.
But he's facing where Trent Alexander-Arnold is, and obviously Mane is on the left-hand side, and he just sort of does the thing where his body swivels, and the
At
thing
speed as
he
well. Like he didn't pass it
punches the
slowly
yeah,
either.
that's the thing, he punches the ball straight into the player. It's not like when it's like sort of dribbles across, he proper
Basically,
punches the
one
ball.
pass to go through a whole midfield.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like if it wasn't him in a normal situation, say before we bought Thiago, that's one Genie Wijnaldum in that position. No matter how good a player and how much I enjoy watching Genie Wijnaldum play, he is never making that pass.
mhm.
He's just never making that pass. So yeah, it was great to see him play. Calvert-Lewin, obviously, his hang time in that header. I don't know if you guys saw it, but
That's it. I
unreal.
did. I watched the whole game obviously because it wasn't pay-per-view. But yeah,
Like I feel Gomez should have put more pressure on him there. But
I'm sorry,
sometimes when
but
you
yeah,
get that kind of hang time,
no, it wasn't
sometimes you just
Gomez
have
though.
to
It was
pull the goal.
Robertson that he moved back to, wasn't it? He moved back.
Robertson was like just behind him. He was in
Yeah,
between the two. But when you have that kind of hang time,
there's not
like
much you
how
could
much
do.
can you really do? I think
Yeah,
Klopp came out afterwards and was like, "Wow, like Calvert-Lewin's just been really good." Like
yeah.
Klopp just said, "Look, the second goal was really good." He didn't even try and blame him or say anything about
Well, to
what
be
they
fair,
could have done better. He just went, "Good goal."
there are some goals that, like Arsenal's Sheffield against last week. Not last week, sorry. I'll start again. Like the goal that Arsenal conceded against Sheffield, McGoldrick, the one that he scored. It was left foot, like it's just edge of the box. He just took a swipe, and it was a beauty of a strike. The some
Yeah,
goals you
sometimes
just
you just have to applaud them,
yeah,
don't
you
you?
just have to accept that there's not much that you could do to.
I thought,
Though I will highlight that this, I don't think it's as easy as it was if
if
VPG
Van
is on the
Dijk's
yeah,
there.
if he
Yeah, so
might have
that's what I
still
was about to say. I thought the first
gotten
goal
it.
was a sign of that.
He might have still gotten it, but there's more doubt with Van Dijk on the pitch.
Yeah, because Gomez was playing where Van Dijk would have been.
Yeah,
So yeah, Van Dijk can get the aerial challenge in. Gomez can't. But yeah, I thought the first goal that they scored was kind of like an issue with Van Dijk. Van Dijk's normally our main guy who's like we leave free when opposition have their corners. We kind of leave him free to just attack the ball and go for it. And a lot of the time he does get it. And I feel like that was missed, and it was showed in their first goal. It just seemed like Everton couldn't get forward enough to actually make use of Cavalier. And I
yeah,
thought he actually, in general, he was stifled a lot, and he had those couple of moments um, against Liverpool. But in general, I thought we defended quite well against him. I
yeah.
thought Adrian didn't have huge amounts to do, but when he did have certain moments, I thought he looked clumsy and not very assured of himself still. But
After conceding 7 goals in your last game, any keeper would look a little bit clumsy, to be honest.
I know, but to be fair, a lot of the team were poor that game, and a lot of them did a lot better this time around.
Yeah. So I
It
take
was
it in
great to
terms.
see Matip back. I thought he helped a lot.
So I take it in
So,
terms of the start and the play, you were much happier with it compared to the Villa game.
oh yeah, I don't think it takes much to be much happier than what happened in the Villa game. But yeah, it was much better. It was back to what we normally would be, and and taking into account it's a derby as well, where it's always been pretty cagey and 0-0s and pretty boring games and not too much happening. I thought it was a lot better from us and a lot better from them as well. Both sides had their moments. I thought overall we were the better team.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys thought the same, but I
No,
thought overall we
I
were the
thought
better
you
team.
you controlled the game
Um,
most of the game. To be fair,
They had spells. I think early in the second half, they had 10, 15 minutes where they were attacking where Richarlison hit the post from. It was a tough chance for him, to be fair. Like, I'm not going to say it was a sitter, but it was a good chance. And they had a 10, 15-minute spell there and about that time
I
early
don't
on
understand why they
where they done
sat
well.
off you though. When the game kicked off, like I would have expected them to be all over you guys in terms of pressure and pressing, but they seem to just
I
sort of
don't know if the Thiago creates that worry for
for
teams or
teams.
not. I don't know if
Yeah,
that, I don't know if that is part of it because normally teams do pressure us
yeah.
because they know of the issues, but yeah, they did sit off a little bit. So I don't know if Thiago affected that part of it. It's just a shame with the Henderson goal being ruled out.
Yeah.
First goal I thought was
I
really
did.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keane goal was fine. It was like just, but obviously it just happened after the Van Dijk situation. Pickford in the second half made a big save against Matip, which obviously frustrating
Oof.
because he shouldn't
Yeah,
be on the
I
pitch.
remember that. Yeah.
But then he
Um,
also gave you that. I think another keeper saves that Henderson shot.
oh yeah, he gave us that, but that made it worse because then it was a goal that got disallowed. I'd rather he just saved it.
To be fair, I
You
do
know what I
think
mean?
it
And we're not even talking
was
about it after
clearly
that.
offside. But
Obviously, by 2 millimeters, clearly offside.
well, it's either.
Um,
But I guess taking a few steps back to the start of the game. So 11 minutes in, um, Van Dijk,
the big decision.
yeah, Van Dijk goes. Well, I would say the big decision would be. I take it you're meaning not giving Pickford the red.
Yeah, so so the ball came back in, and Pickford lunged recklessly. So I think recklessly is the right word. Recklessly to make himself big, like a keeper does. But with the proximity of the two players going for the ball, he basically jumped into Van Dijk's knees. Um, and then so what the VAR then did was obviously that was clear and obvious penalty if it was then offside. So I think what they did is check that, say penalty, then they went back to the offside decision and they checked that, and obviously Van Dijk was like millimeters offside. So then they went, okay, so it's offside, so it's not a penalty. But what they then should have done is gone back to check that challenge and given a red for the challenge because it's still part of the game. It still happened.
Yep.
They didn't do that. I've heard comments and stuff on Twitter where they've said they didn't check VAR didn't check it, but then I've also heard now, and it's been mentioned on Sky Sports and stuff, that David Coote, who was the VAR ref, he looked at it and deemed it not worthy of a red card. So I don't know if it's because it wasn't a clear and obvious error from Michael Oliver because Michael Oliver saw it and then didn't think it was a red, and then they looked back and didn't think it was a red either, or I don't know.
Are
I
they
don't know how you look at
are
that
they
challenge
getting
and think
like
it's not red.
VAR refs straight from like ref university or something? Because some of the decisions that VAR isn't like that they're not giving. Like Jamie Carragher made a good point that we always say we want the best refs on the pitch, but should we now be also saying that we want the best refs in the VAR room because those are
We do. We got to. I think.
some of the game changing decisions are being made by VAR, and you're having someone who's incompetent that who can't tell between a fair challenge and a reckless challenge. Yeah,
Because I think if David Coote just goes to Michael Oliver, I'm not sure about this one,
have a
which he
look on the
clearly
monitor.
wasn't. Have a look at the monitor. I
Yeah,
think Michael Oliver looks at the monitor, goes straight red.
yeah,
Personally, so
yeah.
the fact that he looked at it himself in the VAR studio, wherever it is in Stockwell Park, wherever it is,
Stockley.
he looked at him Stockley Park. That's the one. So he looked at that and then just decided it's not even worthy of a red. And he also decided it's not even worth going to the monitor, which they've obviously encouraged refs to do that this season and encouraged
You
VAR to
say
advise of that. It's just
encourage.
shocking.
You say it's
But they're
been
meant to
used
be
there.
encouraged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they used it like a handful of times. It's still, to me, it still feels like they're still reluctant to use the monitors a lot, which I think they should do because it like you're saying, it would have solved this issue. And then okay, VAR didn't give it, but then it's like the ref saw it and he decided. And Mike
At
Oliver, the
least ref
best
takes
referee.
ownership of that decision.
Yeah, and you've got the best referee in the country on the pitch at that point. So it's like, you know what? Let him have a look and then see what he thinks. He looks at it like you said. I think he's giving a red card there as well. But
It's just I was just shocked because Klopp said it afterwards, and he was like, "Okay, they would have given penalty, and then they given offside." And Klopp was like, "Well, I thought they would at least go back to that challenge, but what can we do on the sidelines?" Like they just carried on,
yeah, it
and
almost
it was
there was an
just
interview I saw with the ref as well. That they were saying, well, the ref was saying that players don't get a free hit after the whistle goes. So just because it was ruled off for offside, that doesn't mean I can then come and drop kick you in the middle of the park and say, oh well, the whistle had gone for offside, so
yeah. That
you
was
can't
BT
actually.
Sports Peter Walton, I
Yeah,
think
so
he
it
was
was like you
saying.
can't actually book me because no, you should still go back because especially the fact that it's literally milliseconds apart in terms of the offside and the the incident of VVD happening.
Yeah, I think what he said was the only difference would be if it was onside, then you're saying serious foul play and penalty, and
Mm.
if it is offside, then you're saying violent conduct.
Conduct,
It
yeah,
just it's just a technicality. It's not. It shouldn't stop them from actually looking at the
and
incident.
punishing him as well
Yeah,
on the
and
incident.
now, which is even worse, they obviously come out today and said there's no retrospective punishment because VAR saw it and deemed it not worthy of a red card. So Pickford can't even get banned for that now. So not that it helps us in any way, but
Yeah,
it just seems like so he just gets away with it. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah. Well, like I said, I guess now you're starting to feel what it's like to be an Arsenal fan. You know,
Ugh.
um,
Anyway,
Nabil,
I think it's worse because obviously the ACL
what are
injury.
well, we
well,
had it. What's Rashford done? Callum Chambers, no, not Callum, Rob Holding's ACL at Old Trafford, and to be fair, that one it wasn't like it was a dirty challenge or anything like that. But
I'm pretty sure that was accidental.
to be fair, I think
But
I think if you were to ask Pickford, that was accidental as well. He didn't mean
It was
to.
accidental. That's why I
Yeah,
said it was reckless. I would
no,
call it
I'm just sort
reckless.
of going to Nabi's point. Sorry,
I don't think like Rashford was like a wild, like anything like Pickford's jumping into it. I think it was just a normal challenge that got Holding.
again with that being a keeper, I think what Shab said at the start before he started getting into it was that that's quite normal for the keeper to spread himself the way he did. The issue is it's just that Van Dijk was so close to him. Normally if Van Dijk was a couple of yards out trying to cross the ball, Pickford doesn't even touch him. He still goes in the same way. But just because Van Dijk was the proximity of the two players, that's what makes the. But anyway, we're sort of getting sidetracked. What were your thoughts on the incident?
It's nothing different. Probably should have been a red card the way he went in. And I'm more interested to hear how worried Shabs is about not having Van Dijk.
Yeah. So
Uh, my thoughts are
just to give you
rough.
a
It's
couple
gonna
of
be rough.
just to give you a couple of figures before you start. This is Liverpool's Premier League record under Klopp with and without Van Dijk. So with Van Dijk, 95 games played. Without Van Dijk, 92. Points per game with Van Dijk, 2.4. Points per game without Van Dijk, 1.9. Goals conceded, 78 with VVD. Without, 110. Conceded Goals conceded per game with VVD, 0.8. Without him, 1.2. Shots faced per game, not a huge difference here. You've got 8.3 with Van Dijk and 8.7 without. And shots on target faced per game, 2.8 with VVD, 3.1 without. And then you've got quite big jumps here now with clean sheets with VVD, 44. Clean sheets without VVD, 30. And then games conceded 3+ goals with VVD, it's only 6. Without VVD, 14.
Yeah. So I think, like, I wouldn't say we're in trouble in terms of season over, we're not going to win the title, but it's obviously a big miss. Look, it would be if you lose the best defender in the world right now. Like, who wouldn't miss that, and who wouldn't have issues if that happened. Is Gomez and Matip good enough to be able to cover that for a title challenge? In my opinion, yes, they are. But the other issue now is Matip's injury prone. He's went in for a scan after this game on Saturday, and he's a doubt for the Ajax game. I don't think he'll be risked for the Ajax game. So then we got our other centre back, which is Fabinho. So he would come in. So these are partnerships that's never happened. I think Gomez and Matip have never actually started a game together because Van Dijk's played. I think he's played all but one Premier League game. Van Dijk so far since he's been at Liverpool. The good thing for us is Alisson's back at the end of the month, or just after the end of October, and I think he makes a big difference. Maybe not as big an impact as Van Dijk, but he makes a difference to that back line because you have more confidence in someone like Alisson than you would in Adrian, and it helps the whole back four in front of him when you have Alisson behind you. We just have to deal with it. Like they're good players, they're good centre halves. Yes, we probably won't be keeping as many clean sheets this year, and it is a worry, like it would be. I'm just probably pointing out the obvious, isn't it? But I think we can survive.
For me, the
without...
thing that I'm looking at it, right, it's not just, I guess, Van Dijk's individual performances. It's also the fact that he makes everyone around him better. So now, then having this, I guess, influence taken from the team, taken from the squad completely, that's also going to leave a gap on the mental aspect of it. Because you as the players, you may think, oh, they'll get through the midfield, but we've still got Van Dijk, it's fine. Oh, but now you'll be like, snap, we don't have Van Dijk. It may.
But that's the thing. They'll just have to like build it, won't they? It's just like build a reputation, build an understanding together as a new back four, and just see where it goes. Like if Matip and Gomez build a partnership, like say forever somehow they get 3 clean sheets in a row and 3 games in a row in the Premier League. Very unlikely, but say they do, you then start building that trust and understanding as a back four again without Van Dijk. So it's just one of those things. They just have to work on it and improve.
Do you also think that, I guess now Liverpool probably, well, I guess you've got January, which is like what, 2 months away now. So do you think they should get another centre back in the window?
100%. I think if this happened 3 weeks ago, before wherever the deadline was, I think we do get someone. Yeah, I think we would have. Whether we'll get it in January, because me personally, I think Liverpool want Dayo Upamecano. I think it's in the summer that he has his release clause
it becomes
activates,
it is,
which is 36 million. Yeah. So whether Liverpool would be like, rather than getting someone in January, knowing that we can then get Upamecano in the summer, they might avoid it based on how the season going up until that point.
What they could potentially
personally, I'd want someone.
What they could potentially do is just negotiate with him, because he'll have 6 months left on his deal, so he could talk to other teams, kind of. I'm not sure if that's the way it works with the release clause, but I was gonna say, Liverpool could potentially just agree a deal with him in January and then have him join.
But yeah, so I think he's the perfect player to get. He plays on the left hand side. I think we've had this discussion before, where he plays in Van Dijk's side.
Yeah.
And with Van Dijk, basically, I think he tore his ACL in half, basically. So they have to restructure that. Whether he'll come back the same, we have no idea. Whether he'll come back,
he won't. I can tell you that, like,
or even with ability enough to actually play to the level he has. We don't know that part.
He may get back to the ability, but I'll say the first 6 months to a year of his return, he won't be the same player.
Yeah, so we're talking a year to 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So,
and how old is he
now? I think it's worth bringing him in now. He's 29, 30, coming up to 30. So by the time he's back, it could be like 31. Yeah. And we still don't know how he's going to be at that point.
Yeah.
So that's why, personally, I think it's the perfect opportunity to get Upamecano in and start him. And Van Dijk comes in as and when, similar to like a company at the end of his career, which is a shame we're having to talk about Van Dijk like that. But due to the seriousness of the injury, I feel like that's the move we have to make, because we don't want to get to a point where Van Dijk comes back. We hope for the best. It doesn't happen. If Upamecano has then gone to someone else, and then we're stuck trying to look for the perfect replacement. I think we just should take him. And then the offside, I personally think they should have a similar thing to what they have in cricket, where they have something called an umpire's call, and that's basically, because the technology is not 100% accurate, when something is millimeters in it, they give that margin of error because they can't prove it either way. And I feel like when refs are people in the Stockley Park are drawing lines down and stuff, if it's not 100% accurate system, so like something like Hawkeye would be in tennis or whatever, or like goal line technology, when it's not 100% accurate like that, I think there should be a margin of error where if someone's feet is like 2 millimeters or something offside, then because you're drawing lines and you have that margin of error where it's like probably like 98% accurate, you give the benefit of the doubt at that point. I think something has to come in like that, especially if it's not 100% accurate
I've always
use
thought
of technology.
um that the benefit of the doubt in offside should be given to the attacker anyway. Because this is
Which
the
I
thing.
think it would when VAR is not involved. But
Mm,
since VAR's come in, they've started all these dotted lines and stuff and tried to look for the millimeter offside. So I don't know if it's a change in the law or the change in the approach to VAR or I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but I personally feel like the margin of error, similar to like an umpire's call in cricket, would help.
What are your thoughts on it, Nab?
Well, it wasn't an offside. Manny was he's facing the other way, so he wasn't gaining any advantage. So
Yeah, it
should be
wasn't like it's completely the wrong interpretation of what the law was actually brought in for, and whether the law needs rewording for it. Whether they'll do that, I don't know, but yeah, I can't see them changing it. I feel like David's just accepted that they're going to do all these stupid dotted lines, aren't they?
Yeah, and I feel like they will continue doing that.
What do you guys think of that margin of error, though? Do you think I've worked out a possible way of rectifying this issue?
But then, what is the margin of error? You're gonna have
They
to
just
now.
have to
You're now
agreement
gonna
point,
have
but at least
now you're gonna have to say a number. Okay, if anything lower than X millimeters, don't bother looking at it. Just give it as onside.
yeah. So like say 10.
Yeah,
So at least there's I think there'll be more acceptance in that than someone being 2 millimeters offside, where with the naked eye you can't see it.
yeah. No, no,
Do you know what
I
I
do
mean?
agree. I do agree. Yeah, yeah, that would have been my only thing in that you will need to have a fixed number to say, okay, anything more than or less than 10 millimeters, we don't bother looking at. We give it as onside, because that does give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt to the attacker.
But yeah,
Um,
other than that, I thought overall we were much better, good reaction from the team, and we go again, and we just have to deal with not being with Van Dijk basically.
yeah, and like
See
Jamie
how that
Carragher, I
goes.
do agree. I do agree. Sorry, like Jamie said, it does blow the title race wide open now. Which now has me feeling like I might put a cheeky fiver on Arsenal to win the league. Not that I actually
well,
think that they're going to,
yeah,
but
it's
just because
clearly
of how
between Everton and Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah, just because of how unpredictable everything is at the moment, you never know what could happen. Um, but yeah, I guess before we finish up, guys, obviously this is European week this week, so what I was just gonna do, we'll review it probably in the post weekend podcast, after all the games of the weekend. Um, was just gonna take your predicted score for the Champions
Midweek
League.
fixtures.
Yeah. So starting off with Manchester United versus PSG. I
Well,
might.
well, on that, before you start, I guess I just give you some news that I know we were talking about it before, but Maguire, Cavani, and Greenwood have all not travelled to Paris.
No, for me, it doesn't change my prediction. My
Does it
prediction.
not? Does it not make you give PSG more goals?
No, I was still gonna go for the PSG win. But in terms of the yeah, I suppose in terms of the scoreline, it will potentially change, but the result doesn't change the result
Yeah, fair
at all.
enough.
Um, so yeah, for me, I'd gone for 3-1 PSG.
Fair enough.
Nabi, what would your score be?
I've gone 2-2.
2-2 Shabs.
4-1 PSG.
Wow. Mbappe hat trick.
Easy.
Liverpool Ajax. I have gone for a 3-2 to Liverpool. Nabi.
3-2 is going to go 2-1 Ajax.
Ooh, tasty. Shabs?
I'm gonna go 2-2.
2-2. The effect of VVD being out the team already. And
Yeah,
the last one,
Desmond.
I've gone with Arsenal traveling to be the first time Arsenal playing in front of fans since March. But anyway, Arsenal versus Rapid Vienna. I do expect to see
What
Thomas
about
Partey.
Liverpool's game?
We just did it. Liverpool Ajax, and you went
Oh
for
yeah,
2-2.
we did. Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Just did it.
Yeah, I know. The Arsenal game, I am going to go. See, with the Arteta's attacking thing, I'm going 2-0 Arsenal.
Okay.
Nabbit,
I was also going to go 2-0 Arsenal.
okie doke. Shabs,
I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1. Fair. So yeah, we've got the predictions in for this week. Well, for the European football anyway. So thank you very much for this evening, guys. And as we've mentioned, always sorry. We'll put our socials in the description below. So please make sure to follow, make sure to like, and also interact. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I've been your host of the most, Tinashe Tonana.